Greetings, it's me, Dr. Paul Gerhardt, and I want to talk about the Week 5 Cultural Synthesis and Development Plan. As you could read in the rubric, it requires 5 basic parts, and here's what you need to know in writing your term papers in our doctoral program. When you have required parts of the paper that are outlined in the rubric, those are your Level 1 headings. Level 1 headings are centered, bold, and all major words are capitalized, excluding words like of, and the, of course. But in this particular paper, it asks for these 5 parts: an introduction, a brief summary of personal cultural intelligence summary results without copying and pasting from your first assignment, a cultural intelligence growth plan for how the development will be achieved in a table format with specific actions and timelines, a discussion that synthesizes current scholarly research with personal CQ assessment results to defend why these strategies were selected and how they will enable achievement of goals. And finally, number 5, a conclusion. The personalized cultural intelligent development plan should be 6 to 8 pages, double space, 12-point, Times New Roman font. APA writing convention should be followed, and a minimum of 8 peer-reviewed scholarly resources. So that term peer-reviewed is interesting. Peer-reviewed, a lot of people think that, oh, Harvard, that's a scholarly source. Well, it is scholarly, but it is not a peer-reviewed journal. Peer-reviewed means that other experts have reviewed the article before it was published, and they say, yes, this is accurate. So you can click the scholarly peer-reviewed button in your database when you're searching to get those. Usually those are journals with some sort of scientific name to it. It could be even Leadership Quarterly. Those usually come up as academic journals. Forbes is not a scholarly academic journal. Harvard Business Review is not a scholarly peer-reviewed journal. So it's important when your rubric asks for a scholarly peer-reviewed journals that you click that scholarly peer-reviewed journal source, or you're probably going to lose points on your paper if your professor catches it. So the rubric is broken down into several parts too. 0 to 25 points for a brief summary of your personal intelligence assessment results. Cultural intelligence growth plan for 20 points. Your synthesis of scholarly research and CQ assessment to defend selected strategy, 20 points. Writing and organization is 15 points, and AP and references is 25 points. Just like any organization that has standards that are expected, the best universities use APA 7th edition these days as a scholarly standard. And so the purpose of this video is to help you understand APA writing within the context of this particular subject. So as you can see, this is an actual student's paper from a term that I had previously. This cover page is formatted correctly in 7th edition. You notice there is no running head, but in the top right-hand corner, there is the first page number. The title is about 3/4 down the page, and it is in bold. This student named the paper Cultural Intelligence Development Plan. Instead of student name, of course, you would put your name here, John Jones, Jose Rodriguez, whatever your name is. And then notice that this is not bold, but there are capital letters here, your professor's name, and then the date. And I put an X here, but this was recorded in 2021. So if you were turning this paper in on August 14th, 2021, that would be the date you put here. So scrolling down, you'll notice that this paper has an abstract. Listen closely to what the APA abstract should contain and how it should be formatted. Notice that it is a level 1 heading. It is bold and it simply just says abstract. It is not indented. It's the only major paragraph in an APA paper that is not indented, with the exception, of course, of block quotes, and we won't have any block quotes in this. So just remember that the abstract is the only major paragraph that is not indented. According to APA, an APA abstract is a brief, comprehensive summary of the contents of an article, and you're the author of the article. An APA abstract summarizes, usually in one paragraph, between 150 to 250 words, the major aspects of a research paper or dissertation in a prescribed sequence that includes APA content addresses usually in 1 to 2 sentences per topic. 1. Key aspects of the literature review. Problem under investigation or the researcher's questions. Clearly stated hypothesis or hypothesis. Methods used, including brief descriptions of the study design, sample, size, study results. Implications, why this study is important. Implications of the results or findings. The abstract should stand alone and be self-contained and make sense to the reader in isolation from the main article. The purpose of this abstract is to give the reader a quick overview of the essential information. So this abstract that you see, if you were researching the paper, it's on a page of its own. So you don't connect it with the cover and you don't connect it with the first paragraph, which is the introduction. It's just on a page of its own. You'll notice it is page 2. So in this paper, the author will write in present tense. This paper describes this. This paper expounds on this. Not this paper will, because you write in present tense, because the paper's already done by the time you write your abstract, and usually the abstract is written last because of that purpose. So remember, the abstract is written last. Say that. Okay, whatever. All right, so you'll notice down here the word keywords is down here. The keywords is indented, and then it has some keywords. So usually if you are searching through published papers and you read the abstract and then you look at the keywords, it'll help you decide whether or not you want to dive further into the paper. Got it? So the abstract discusses key abstracts from the literature, the problem and research questions, clearly stated hypothesis, methods used, implications, and it gives the reader a quick overview of the essential information before reading the entire article. Let's go down. All right, on page 3, you'll notice there is a level 1 heading. And the level 1 heading is exactly the same as the title of the paper because it's your introduction. It is assumed this is the introduction, so do not use the word introduction in a student APA 7th edition paper. The title is used because the title represents the topic of the paper, and it is assumed that this first section describes what the paper's about. The APA manual says that the purpose of the introduction is the same as in any research paper. In 1 to 2 paragraphs, briefly introduce and state the issue to be examined. Include the thesis statement. So you'll notice that this author talks about what her paper is, and she supports it with the literature. There are several different ways to do APA in-text citation, and this author did a really good job. She introduces research done by Baker and Del Pector. And she says, according to Baker and Del Pector, space, date, comma, and then she goes on to paraphrase what that article was about in her own words. In graduate level papers, we're the authors, supporting our ideas and saying it's from the experts. So don't use direct quotes. Direct quotes in scholarly papers are reserved when the author is famous or when changing the words would change the meaning or feeling. So in most cases, it's best that you just read the article, close the article, then say, what was this about? And then put it in your own words and then give credit, as the author of this paper did. You'll notice that this author of this paper also cited in her own words and then gave credit. So she says employees build trust-based relations when they feel comfortable to connect and collaborate with other team members. Collins, comma, space, Chu, comma, space, Warner, comma, space, and the last author is connected with an ampersand, Rowley, comma, space, 2017. And then there's a period. Notice there's no period before the in-text citation, which I commonly see. So that's really important. So here on this page are two different ways to do in-text citations. You use an and when connecting two authors in the paragraph like this one, or you use an ampersand when it is this format where you're mentioning all the authors inside parentheses. You'll notice here's another in-text citation that's done in parentheses, and there is an ampersand. So generally speaking, when you are crafting scholarly paragraphs, the first sentence introduces what the paragraph is about. The consecutive paragraphs support the ideas with examples and literature, and then finally the final paragraph summarizes and ties into the next section. All right, so after the introduction is done, the purpose of the introduction is the same in any research paper. In 1 to 2 paragraphs, briefly introduce and state the issue to be examined, include the thesis statement. So we should have been able to read what the thesis statement was. In this section, you'll notice that the rubric asks for a brief summary of your personal cultural intelligence assessment results. And so she uses the heading, a brief summary of personal cultural intelligence assessment results. And she introduces what this is all about. After taking my personal cultural assessment, I have analyzed the results. I have scored high in all 4 cultural intelligence capabilities: CQ drive, CQ knowledge. So she's introducing the 4 aspects. She's sharing what her scores are. Excuse me. So you'll notice number 3 notice how she actually did a list here. Include cultural knowledge as in business, which is knowledge of cultural, legal, and economic systems. 2, values and norms. When taking the personal assessment, I concentrated my evaluation on the experience as a co-founder of a technology company and an educator, blah, blah, blah. So the next major section of the paper, according to the rubric, is a cultural intelligence growth plan. And so notice that this is a level 1 heading. Bold, centered, all capital letters. Here, if this A was in the middle, that would not be capitalized, but the A at the start is capitalized because it's at the beginning of the heading. So you need a level 1 heading in order to have a level 2 heading. And you have to have a level 2 heading in order to have a level 3 heading, and I'll show you that. But notice how the author of this paper introduces this section, what it's about, and then she goes to expound on what this section is all about. Then she uses a level 2 heading objective for the Cultural Intelligence Development Plan. So that's a subcategory of the Cultural Intelligence Development Plan. She only used one sentence, but generally speaking, paragraphs should be 3 sentences. Remember, you introduce the idea, support the idea, and then you conclude or tie into the next section. But this level 2 heading, which is subordinate to the level 1 heading, you see they're related. It's thinking about like dogs, and then big dogs would be a level 2 heading under the level 1 heading of dogs if you're writing a paper on dogs. And then under big dogs, the level 3 heading would be St. Bernard and German Shepherds, for instance. So just use an example. They're all related to the level 1, but they're subordinate to them. And so we do that by making level 1 centered, bold, with capital letters. And then level 2 is bold with capital letters, but it's left justified. So generally speaking, you want to try to support ideas with the literature in every paragraph, or in most paragraphs as you go along. And she, for the most part, she's done a pretty good job about doing that. And again, she's paraphrasing what the literature has said in her own words and then giving credit. You notice this is the kind of in-text citation where the last author is included with an and then the date is in parentheses. So there's a couple different ways to do it, but some students get caught up with this and some students get caught up with putting a period before the in-text citation. So there's different ways of doing it, but by having an in-text citation, it says, hey, there's an expert that also believes this. So you notice that all the paragraphs, this paragraph talks us about synthesis of the current scholarly literature and personal assessment results. And so she kind of expounds on her results and talks about what the literature has to say about each of the dimensions of cultural intelligence. And related to the synthesis of the scholarly research and personal CQ results is the relevant learning and development methodology, where she introduces her plan. So she says the section discusses types of training and development I'll use for growing my CQ and why it's important. The scholarly literature has a tremendous amount of resources available that are outlined. Here are examples of each type of learning. And then you'll notice a level 3 heading. Level 3 is also left justified in APA 7th, but it is in italics. She introduces what this section is about, supports what this section is about with the literature in her own words, and summarizes and ties it into the next section. Notice that she is supporting her ideas with the literature related to this level 2 topic, relevant learning and development. One is contact-based training. See how that's subordinate to that. Also, intergroup contact approach is also subordinate to this level 2 heading, learning and development methodology. So with the level 3 heading, left justified, bold, and italics with major words, she supports that. See, here's that other type of in-text citation where she says Presbyterio and Toledano 2018, and she cites it again here, but she uses the other format that is tied with the ampersand here. Notice the period goes at the end of the sentence, not before the in-text citation. So I know that this is another topic related to the level 2 and the learning management system, which is subordinate to this level 2 heading. This is a level 3 heading, so I know it is still related to this level 2 heading, which falls under the broader category of what's in the level 1 heading above it. So this author did a really good job. Now, building and alignment. I can see that this is a level 2 heading which is not subordinate to this level 3. It's subordinate to the level 1 heading. It's related to it. So this would be the equivalent in my dog paper analogy of this would be the equivalent of small dogs. You know, if level 1 heading was dogs, level 2 heading was big dogs, level 2 heading would be small dogs. And in small dogs, you would put Shih Tzu and toy poodle, for instance, which would be level 3 heading. So this, in my dog analogy, would be toy poodle, for instance. Anyway, notice she's supporting ideas in each of her paragraphs, and she's writing it in an affirmative present tense way. Level 3 heading, level 3 heading, these are both related to this level 2 heading, building and alignment, role play exercises, and a series of lectures. Video format. So one thing that I'm noticing going through is she did not follow through on the third instruction, a table format with specific actions and timelines. So this author of this paper probably lost points for not having a table that shows the dates of when things are due and what they are, but she expounded on what those ideas were. So notice this is a level 1 heading for conclusion, because conclusion is the end of the paper. According to the APA manual, the conclusion should 1. Restate your topic and why it is important. Restate your thesis claim. Address opposing viewpoints and explain why readers should align with your position, and call for action or overview of future research possibilities. So you probably have talked about all of those things in your paper. You're summarizing key ideas in your conclusion. So remember, people will remember what you first say and then what you last say. So at the start of the paper, I like to think about making a sandwich. Tell us what the paper's about. At the end, tell us what you told us the paper was about. Restate your topic and why it's important in the conclusion. Restate your thesis claim. Address opposing viewpoints and explain why readers should align with your position, and then call for action. So with the exception of, this is not formatted properly, with the exception of that table that I was looking for with dates of when you will accomplish the items and what the specific action items were, so you have a timeline. Notice the reference is at the top of the page with a level 1 heading. It's bold and centered. You notice that the publication title is in italics, the Academy of Management Learning and Education, and it has the DOI link here also. So last name, comma, space, author's first initial. We do not use the author's first name or middle name, but we do use the full last name. The date of the publication, the article title. The article title is not in italics. It's the publication title that's in italics. Then you have the volume number and the issue number, and then the page number, and followed by the DOI number. You notice when you have multiple authors, the last author is connected with an ampersand. And you put these in the same order as they're listed in the article. So you're not doing it in alphabetical order necessarily, but you're listing the authors in this reference in the same order that they were listed in the paper. So usually the main researcher is the first name that is in there. And then, of course, all of your references in your reference section are in alphabetical order by the first author that's in there. You notice that Alexandra and Alon and Baker and Barnova, those are in all alphabetical orders. So here's the name of the article. International Education Trends and Cross-Cultural Training. You notice that the article title is only got the first word capitalized, but the publication, the journal name, Comparative Professional Pedagogy, all those words are capitalized and in italics. So book titles also in italics. Let me see if I can find a book title. So anyway, that's in a nutshell what's expected and what a sample A paper looks like, with the exception of that table that was required in the rubric. I appreciate you taking time to watch this 26-minute video. I recommend that you rewind it again and take notes to help you make sure that your APA formatting is good and that you're covering each of the major sections of this paper. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Only you get to choose how you feel about it. I'm Dr. Paul Gerhardt.